I'm sorry I made you feel bad today. My brother apologized on behalf of his fiancée. My brother's fiancée looks down on me because of my education. Of course, I feel anger towards her attitude, but I didn't want to hate the person who is going to become my family. If we took the time to get to know each other, we might be able to understand each other, or so I had hoped, but the day we understood each other never came. My name is Jack, 34 years old. I live at home with my parents. I run a bakery. Although we don't have a lot of stores, we have a store in the station building. Since the business is getting on track, I am pretty busy every day. Then one day, my brother, who is 2 years older than me, suddenly reported his engagement. I had never heard of my brother's relationship before, so I was honestly surprised. I was excited, wondering what kind of woman he had chosen. My brother is a warm-hearted man and rarely gets angry. I had imagined that she would be a similar kind of person, just like my brother. However, when she came to greet me, she was far from my image.
"It's a big house, just as I thought. How much is the property worth?"
Jennifer, my brother's fiancée, asked me that when we first met. I was surprised that she would ask me about the value of my house without even greeting me. It was true that my parents' house had just been rebuilt, so it was spacious and clean.
"It's a famous big house around here, isn't it? After the wedding, I want to move in here. I will be able to boast to my friends that I can live in such a big house."
I had never imagined of living with my married brother, so I was puzzled, but my parents seemed very happy. "I don't think moving in is—" I started, but my mother's words overlapped and drained mine out.
"Let's talk about living together later. So, where did you meet Kevin?"
My mother asked Jennifer with a smile.
"I happened to walk into a bakery where Kevin was working and fell in love at first sight. I was told I couldn't see him anymore because he usually works at the head office, so I immediately asked for his number."
Jennifer and my parents continued talking happily. I couldn't help but be annoyed by Jennifer's flirty way of speaking, so I spent most of the time with a painted fake smile on my face.
"Where did you go to college, Jack?"
Suddenly, the conversation turned to me. Jennifer had studied abroad while attending a women's college. She proudly told me that she was now working at some tourist attraction and helping tourists from overseas. When she asked about my educational background, I answered honestly. I didn't go to high school because I wanted to work earlier, then go on to higher education. Without hearing me out, Jennifer rudely interrupted me.
"You only graduated middle school?"
She put her hand over her mouth in an exaggerated way. "Jack is a hard worker. I wouldn't be where I am today without him." My brother tries to explain in my defense, but Jennifer interrupts him again.
"Didn't you have trouble finding a job after graduating from middle school?"
Jennifer's mocking tone annoyed me, and I felt that it was none of her business. There was a time when I did have to hold several part-time jobs. Hearing that, Jennifer laughed without hiding it.
"Are you still a part-timer? Well, it's understandable since you've only graduated middle school."
Kevin warns Jennifer with a serious look as she laughs mockingly. "Don't make fun of my brother. What's inside is more important than your education." I was glad that my brother was defending me. Jennifer seemed to be sulking because of my brother scolding her. Jennifer never looked at me again. We chatted for a while, and when it was time for them to leave, I went out into the hallway to use the restroom and bumped into Jennifer coming back from the restroom. I felt a little awkward, so I smiled and tried to pass her, but I heard a deliberate sigh.
"I don't want anything to do with people like you who are on the bottom of the pile, so get the hell out of the house."
Jennifer's voice, which had sounded sweet earlier, had changed to a low tone. I was so surprised at the change that I stood there speechless, and then Jennifer continued.
"You're not educated. You're already in your 30s but still single, and you live with your parents. I'd be so embarrassed for anyone to think of you as my relative, so I really hope you won't come to our wedding."
With that, she returns to the living room. Jennifer's words were so shocking that I was merely surprised rather than frustrated or sad. I wondered if I should report Jennifer's outburst to my parents and brother, but my parents are delighted at the arrival of their lovely daughter-in-law. They may not believe me if I report it now. They might think that I lied to them because I was frustrated that she made fun of my education. My parents were very opposed about the idea of not going to high school in the first place. I was always told that I was an eccentric child, and I was not very good at group work. I was not comfortable being ordered around by teachers and having to do the same things as everyone else. During career counseling, I was told by both my parents and my homeroom teacher that no one would hire me as a middle school graduate. My parents held their heads in their hands when I declared that if they wouldn't hire me, I would start my own company and become the president. While my parents were very much against it, my brother was the only one who agreed with me. "I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's in your nature to work under others, but you shouldn't rely on your parents to finance your business, and you should first learn how to run a business. My brother had my back and was able to convince my parents. After graduating, I worked at a variety of part-time jobs, from sales to manufacturing, and steadily saved up the funds to open the business. On my days off from work, I went to the library to study business management on my own. After living like this for several years, I had a fateful encounter. It was at a part-time job at a bakery I happened to work at. When I told the president of the bakery that I wanted to become a manager, he listened to me seriously. He taught me his knowledge about running a business in person, and I studied hard, starting with baking bread. Then, in my mid-20s, I was able to save up enough money to open my own bakery. As I began to enjoy running a business, I realized from conversation with customers that what they wanted differed depending on location and time of day. In residential areas, bread and bread for children did well. I would be happy if I could analyze customer trends and make a profit. Thus, I set up one project after another, and now I am the president of several stores. My best ally now, and has always been my older brother. He used to be a salesman for a food company, but he resigned and joined my company. I think a hardworking businessman like Jack has a bright future ahead of him. I am glad that he trusted his future with my company, not just because we are related. Thanks to my brother's efforts to promote the company, the number of stores and the number of employees have increased. I cannot thank my brother enough. This is why I really want him to be happy. Jennifer is aggressive towards me, but normal to my brother and parents. Just because they make fun of my education doesn't mean she is a bad person. She is prejudiced now, but with time, she may change her mind. I decided to be positive about my relationship with Jennifer. That's why I decided to keep the rant that was hurled at me to myself for now. While I was thinking about that, I received a phone call from my brother. "I'm sorry I made you feel bad today. I'll tell her that you are the president of our company. Maybe then Jennifer will change her mind." My brother told me that, but I asked him not to tell her. I told him that if she found out that I was the president of the company, it might make her feel uncomfortable. My brother seemed convinced and promised to keep quiet for a while. I wanted to face Jennifer as is, regardless of my education or position. I was sure that if my brother loved her, we would be able to understand each other someday, but I would later realize that this was only a dream. Then they officially got married and began their preparations for the wedding. My brother sometimes brought Jennifer back to the house with him. I was nervous, but I greeted Jennifer with a smile when she arrived. Jennifer would smile in front of my brother and my parents. However, when we were alone, she would speak differently.
"Jack, why don't you get married soon? You're a lazy old man. I'm going to get this house. Get out of my way."
She whispered to me so that no one could hear. I didn't want to argue because I still wanted to get to know the person my brother loved, but Jennifer was so harsh that my heart broke. Even though I'm at work, I can't help but sigh loudly when I remember Jennifer's visit. I also hate myself for not being happy about the wedding this weekend. I can't tell my brother to stop the marriage now. One female employee saw me down and approached me with a concerned look. She usually works at the store, but today she had a task and came to the head office.
"This is about your brother, but do you know about that rumor? It's a rumor among the part-timers."
Rumor? I replied that I had no idea. My brother has a reputation inside and outside the company for being an honest, hard worker, but I wondered if he was actually disliked at our stores.
"Your brother's reputation is very good, but his fiancée..."
I was so surprised to hear the rumor that I couldn't help but speak up. "Is the rumor true?" I asked back. I was told that everyone was talking about it, although the truth was unknown. I called a place to find out if it was true. Then, over the weekend, my brother and Jennifer's wedding took place. I was told not to come to the wedding, but of course I did, because he is my brother. Jennifer is in a good mood, smiling from ear to ear. My heart aches at the sight of my brother smiling at me, unaware of what is going on. My guts are churning as I remember the rumor I heard the other day. I wonder how long you can keep smiling. I muttered to myself as I looked at Jennifer's smiling face. The reception was over, so I headed to the bride and groom's waiting room. I knocked on the door and heard Jennifer's voice inside. When I entered the room, my brother was not there. When Jennifer saw me, she made a blatantly disgusted face.
"What are you doing here?"
The bride, who had been smiling at me earlier, was obviously discontent. I didn't answer her and walked up.
What is it? You're at the bottom of the pyramid. Don't come near me."
I was willing to let you in because I just wanted my brother to be happy, but he won't be happy if he lives with you. I'd like you to leave my brother alone. Jennifer was furious at my words.
"Why should I? You're the parasite in your parents' house. Just leave the house already. You single man with only a middle school education."
Jennifer loudly cursed at me. I gave a small laugh, looked Jennifer in the eye, and said, "You're cheating on Kevin with another man. How can you be so confident?" Jennifer's face froze up for a moment at my words, but still she maintained her strong attitude. "I don't know what you're saying. Just get out of my room." Jennifer tried to force me out of the room. Just then, my brother came in with a red face and shouted, "You're the one who's going to leave." Jennifer and I were both so startled by my brother's usually mild-mannered yell that we couldn't move our bodies. I could hear it all the way from outside. "What do you mean by you're cheating on me and calling my brother a parasite?" I had no idea that my brother had heard. Jennifer's face turned pale. "No, it's not what you think. It is." Jennifer appealed with tears in her eyes. Of course, my brother remained angry. I took out the papers and photos and put them on the table. There was a picture of Jennifer and a man, who is not my brother, hugging each other on the street. My brother was absolutely mortified at the sight of the picture and seemed to be speechless. He had no idea that his wife was cheating on him. She'd make excuses, saying this man is a good friend of hers, but I couldn't afford to believe her. I asked the detective agency, "But he must be a friend you see quite often. Are you close enough to invite him over to your house in the middle of the night?" Kevin and Jennifer had not moved in together yet. Jennifer took advantage of this and invited the man to her house. "Explain to me what's going on here." Jennifer was silent. Realizing that she had no more excuses, my brother, growing impatient with her attitude, said, "I didn't know you were such a bitch. Let's get a divorce." Jennifer, who's proposed a divorce right after the wedding, went crazy. "I can't get a divorce now. What am I going to tell everyone?" "You can just tell them that you got divorced because Kevin found out about the affair. I'll give all the evidence of the affair to him. If he asks for alimony, you'd better pay it." Jennifer panics as she fights back. "A person like you can't use a detective agency. You've been chasing me around, you stalker." "If I had that kind of free time, I'd be working. I'm the president of a company, the president of the company your husband and my brother works for." I finally revealed my true self. "No, it's not true. You are a part-timer who lives with your parents." "No, I'm not. That's your assumption. I wanted to get to know you, regardless of education or position in society. I thought that if my brother loved you, we might be able to understand each other someday. That's why I asked him not to tell you that I was the president." Jennifer looked at my brother in disbelief. He just nodded. "Are you saying that you are the one who pays Kevin's salary? That you're the one who renovated the house?" Jennifer rolled her eyes and her mouth was agape. "An employee told me that there is a rumor going around that my brother's fiancée was walking around looking lovey-dovey with another man. Everyone felt bad, and no one seemed to tell Kevin directly, so he was unaware of it. The money to hire a detective is nothing, if it'll wake up my brother." Jennifer's head was probably not able to keep up with the amount of information. She just kept silent with her head down, so decided to leave the rest to my brother. I had hoped that one day we would understand each other, but it was a waste of time. If you're a wife, why don't you at least remember the name of the president of your husband's company? Well, I guess it doesn't matter now that you're getting divorced. I spat out these words and walked out of the room. A few days later, my brother decided on the divorce and informed my parents. They questioned as to why, and he told them about Jennifer's personality, and, of course, that she has been cheating on him, but they were having a hard time believing him. This was because they only knew the good side of Jennifer. A few days later, however, something happened that made them believe Kevin. Late at night, the chime at the front door of the house rings. When I opened the door, I found Jennifer standing there. "You're the reason Kevin left me." She tried to grab me as soon as she saw me. My father rushed to stop Jennifer, but she continued. "What kind of president are you? You have no education and have never had a woman in your life." My parents were stunned at Jennifer's change. Now they know what she really is. My mother calls Jennifer's parents and asked them to come and pick her up. When she told them about the outburst and the affair, Jennifer's parents, who had no idea what was going on, got down on their knees. Jennifer was also forced to get down on her knees and apologize, though she was sobbing in disappointment. "Don't ever show your face again," I said, and her parents dragged her home. My brother demanded alimony based on the evidence of the affair I had gathered. He got about $3,000 in total because he charged not only Jennifer, but also the other man. He gave me a portion of it, saying it was for all of the trouble he had caused me, in addition to the money I had spent on the detective. Jennifer has been getting a cold shoulder from her friends because of the rumor that the reason of her divorce was her cheating on her husband. The gossipy part-timer told me that Jennifer stays home now and she no longer has any friends. My brother was feeling down, saying that he had enough of women. However, I was sure that my brother, who is so earnest and hardworking, would meet a good woman. I am working hard today too, to make the company grow, and hoping for a good marriage for my brother.